Welcome back to another episode of the Draw Control Podcast. On today's episode of the podcast, I'm joined by senior on the Boston University women's lacrosse team, Kendall Sims. Last season, Kendall scored 12 goals and tallied 6 assists for 18 points on the season. During college, Kendall's freshman year, she was the Patriot League Rookie of the Week twice. And before college, Kendall was the Diane Whipple Foundation Scholarship recipient and won the 2019 Nassau County Class B Championship. Welcome to the Draw Control Podcast, Kendall, and how's everything going?
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm doing well.
Well, I'm happy to have you on as well. And overall, how was your fall semester, both on and off the field, since it's finally come to a close?
Yeah, fall semester was good. It was probably my toughest semester academically. I'm a marketing major, so this semester was really like the toughest set of classes that I've had, but was able to balance that with lacrosse, and lacrosse was good as well. I had a small ankle injury, so I wasn't able to play most of the fall ball games, but was rehabbing and I'm good to go now. But
That's
yeah.
good. That's good. And is it sort of hard to guess handle those challenges during the fall, or is it a benefit because maybe you can like learn different strategies on how to handle those challenges when the season before the season arrives?
Yeah, I definitely say the fall is definitely about learning how to balance and then taking those skills that you've learned and transitioning them into the spring when it gets a lot more busy. And I think for me, being hurt, I was able to focus a little bit more on school, which I think was a benefit. And also from being on the sideline, I think just like being an extra set of eyes as like a coach almost on the side, which definitely helped my lacrosse IQ and definitely helped the team overall, just being able to help from the sidelines and just like see things that I wouldn't normally see on the field, which I think was an advantage out of that.
Now, what was your off season like in regards to training, and what were some of the things that you worked on to get ready for this upcoming season?
Yeah, so we had practice 5 times a week and lift 3 times a week. And we worked on like smaller fundamental skills like stick work, shooting, footwork, defensive slide packages, and just our overall sets. So I think just the fall is about really learning about our team and like forming our identity and working on those small skills to then learn the bigger skills for the spring. So just a lot of fundamentals. Smaller work that'll transition into the bigger picture for the spring. And our team had the opportunity to play box lacrosse in our gym, which is just like smaller sided lacrosse, which got us all really competitive, and that was really fun.
Any big hits thrown in those box lacrosse games? Because I know it's way more physical than on the
Oh my gosh,
field.
yeah, definitely. We had some rules up against the sides, but it was very competitive, and it was good to see the team like come together in those smaller teams and just compete in that setting.
Well, being a senior this season, what type of leadership do you hope to bring to the team? Would you consider yourself more of a vocal leader or lead by example type of player?
I would say all my life I've been a lead by example type of player. I like to really lead just by with my like work ethic, grit on the field, and just hard work. And I've been really working on my vocal leadership. And my sophomore year, I tore my ACL, so I was out for a bunch. And then I also just hurt my ankle in the fall. So I think having the opportunity to be on the side, I was able to really improve my vocal leadership. And I think just that time off being on the side, I'm able, now that I'm back to playing, I can really take what I learned off the field and now being on the field again, just combining my lead by example with a little bit more vocal leadership to really just be a full leader that I want to be. And I think as a senior, that'll be really vital to the team if I could have a good, healthy balance of both of those types of leaderships.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, talk a little bit about what fall ball was like for your team. I know you didn't play in any of those games, but what did you take away from the games that your team played, and how have the new players in your team looked from your perspective?
Yeah, I think for our team, we definitely learned what our strengths were and what our weaknesses were. And I think just our coaching staff was able to take the things that we needed to work on and really focus on those at practice. We were able to weekly just like take apart, okay, this week we're going to work on 77s. This week we're going to work on 1v1s. This week we're going to work on 8 meters. I think just breaking that down based on what we saw in the fall as things that we needed to work on was very helpful. And I think just like I said before, just forming our identity. Like we want to be a team who is gonna outwork, hustle, and just outcompete the other team, no matter if their stick skills might be better or they might be overall better team. I think just coming out the strongest is a team that we want to be. And in terms of the new players, our freshmen have really been able to play a huge role in the fall for our team. They bring a lot of speed, energy, dedication to our team, and they mix really well. And we're so happy to have them for the spring.
Now, what are your team's goals and expectations for this season?
So for the season, we definitely want to finish top of the Patriot League. We want other teams to be like, oh shoot, we're playing BU. Like we really want them to see us as a threat. And I think going off of that, just being able to say, okay, this is a team where all seven people on the offensive and defensive units are threats and anyone can score at any time. So it's not like if they shut down one of us, then they got us. We just want to be a team where everyone is a threat and everyone can contribute, and we can just be a united, strong team in that way. And our mantra for this year is for the pack, just to say that we're only as strong as our weakest link. So just bringing everyone together, and we're really all about unity this year, which will be good to see.
Now, being a senior this year, what do you hope to accomplish individually for the upcoming year?
I would say I definitely want to have peak endurance, just being able to run a whole game without getting tired. Also have minimal hesitation in my decision making, just being able to be really confident with the ball and like command our offensive unit and be that leader for our offensive unit this year. Now that we've had a lot of girls graduating, we have more of our defensive unit. So just bringing that high leadership role into our offensive unit and continuing to be a threat on the circle. That's also somewhere where I like to thrive. So just being able to win those balls on the circle and just maintain confidence.
Now, let's transition and talk about the beginning of your lacrosse career and sort of work all the way up to where you are today. So you're from Manhasset, New York. Talk about growing up there and how'd you start playing lacrosse?
Yeah, so growing up in Manhasset was really unique because there's such a strong lacrosse identity and culture with our town. So it's just like assumed when you are able to walk, parents throw a lacrosse stick in your hand. So I've been playing lacrosse since I was like 3 or 4 years old, just getting put into those little clinics as a kid, and I really, really enjoyed it. And all my friends played lacrosse, so it was really just a fun outlet for us. And among the other sports that I played, lacrosse was always one of my favorites.
And growing up, did you have like a favorite lacrosse team or player that you like to watch?
Um, Growing up, I didn't watch a ton of lacrosse, but now as I'm older, I really like watching Kylie O'Miller play and just the US team. And I would watch a lot of Big Ten games as a kid growing up. So I think just looking up to Kylie O'Miller in specific, I just really admire her hard work, hustle, talent overall.
Now, before college, you played for your high school with Manhasset. Talk about your high school lacrosse experience, what you took away from that time, and what's like your favorite high school lacrosse memory when you look back on it now?
Yeah, so my freshman and sophomore year, I was on the junior varsity team, and I think I was really able to grow my game in those 2 years and just get a lot of playing time and a lot of game experience. In my sophomore year, I was captain of that team, so I think I was able to definitely learn some leadership skills and really be put into roles I was never really put in before and step up in big ways, which I think shaped my career later on. And junior year, I was on varsity, and that was a great experience as well. We had a good season that year. And then senior year was COVID. So I think high school was definitely good to get some game experiences and just solidify that I really wanted to play the sport in college and just increase my love for the game.
And you also played club lacrosse for Liberty Lacrosse and Grit Dallas. How did those experiences, you think, help prepare you for college lacrosse and sort of help you throughout the recruiting process?
Yeah, I think definitely balancing time management with school and academics with lacrosse definitely helped me prepare for college because you need all those skills in college as well. So I think, and I also played club soccer. So just the back and forth travel and having to become creative in ways that I would get my homework done and get all my sports done too was definitely a challenge, but definitely equipped me for time management skills now. And yeah, I think just learning like team chemistry, bonding with teammates, learning to play with a lot of different kinds of people throughout all my experiences on all these different teams definitely shaped my who I am as a lacrosse player today.
Yeah, and you mentioned in your previous answer, but you also played soccer during your time in high school. So, and where you had a lot of success playing that sport as well, I like to mention. But how do you think playing soccer helped you out in lacrosse? Outside of just the burnout factor, but was there any like sort of skills that you learned in that sport that you think helped translate into lacrosse and made you a better player?
Yeah, definitely. In terms of soccer, I was on varsity as a freshman, so I think I was able to see a lot of the juniors and seniors lead on that team. And one senior in specifically, I really bonded with, and I think I learned a lot of leadership skills from her. Like she would write all the underclassmen little notes before games, and she was just a really like the best leader that I've ever had on a team. And I think I just want to be that type of leader for younger players on my team. So being on that team with her really equip me with the leadership skills that I use on my team today. And yeah, definitely with the burnout factor, playing soccer and lacrosse. Those are my two favorites. So just having a good balance between those two in high school, I really enjoyed that.
Do you watch any soccer now, or it was more just a sport that you played growing up?
I watch a lot of soccer with my dad. He is a big Manchester City fan, so watch a lot of that with him while I'm home.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I will say though, trying to get into it myself, and I don't know if I can root for Man City just because they've won so much recently. I feel like it's too much of a bandwagon choice for myself.
Oh my gosh, it definitely is a bandwagon choice, but my dad's been a fan for them for so long, so it doesn't feel that way. But
Yeah,
they're
it
yeah,
was cool seeing them win the Champions League though last summer.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who to root for. I'll probably say like maybe like Chelsea or Arsenal, but you can tell me if those are not good choices or not.
No,
So.
those are also good choices. Also good choices.
Well, let's talk about your recruiting process now. So, what was your recruiting process like with Boston University? What made you sort of want to take the lacrosse route? And
Mhm.
how did BU sort of find you? And what made that school stand out for you versus other schools you might have looked at when you were going through that time?
Yeah, so going into my junior year, like leading up that summer, I was going to camps for lacrosse and camps for soccer because I loved both sports so much and I didn't know which one I wanted to choose yet. So ultimately the lacrosse recruiting process came first because that starts your junior year of high school while soccer is more of the senior year. You solidify that choice. So I started with lacrosse. And when BU reached out to me and I visited, the second I stepped on the campus, I was like, I love this place. And I think it's just kind of a feeling that you get when you step on a campus that you're like, yes, I want to spend my 4 years of college here. And being in the city of Boston was just awesome. And seeing the team chemistry of the BU lacrosse team while I was visiting was just awesome. And it was unlike any other team chemistry that I had seen visiting any other school. And also, I really love Coach Morton, my head coach, and her mentality was, okay, we're going to be a team who's gritty, we're going to be a team who works hard, and that's going to be our identity. And that's how I think I am as a lacrosse player. And that identity really stuck out to me. And no other coach had really said that before. And just her overall coaching philosophy was really, I really, really enjoyed that. So I think her in combination with the girls on the team, just the school being in the city, proximity to home. I'm from New York, so it's pretty close. All those factors, I loved BU, and I stopped looking at any other school, and I was like, lacrosse it is. So yeah, I think just the way that that recruiting process kind of fell out, I'm so grateful for.
Now, as a freshman, what was like the biggest adjustment you had to make to college lacrosse?
I think definitely the pace was something that I noticed first, just the pace of play and the fast decision making that you have to make decisions at, I think is definitely a lot different than the high school game. And also there are a lot of rule changes and there are still many rule changes. The rules keep changing and we keep on having to educate ourselves. So I think just being as strategic as possible with all these rule changes has been the biggest adjustment that I'd have to make.
How are you adjusting to the new rules for this upcoming year? Because I heard there was a lot of whistles going on around in fall ball.
Yeah, a lot of whistles. I think just being extra cautious with how you're playing defense because like in between the 30s, a foul becomes a green card when you're playing a player down. So I think it's just playing unselfishly and you might want to go for a check, but you can't because that'll put your team down. So I think just putting the team first and just consciously thinking about the decisions that you're making impact the whole team too. So I think just staying team oriented is a good way to stay grounded with these new rules and just make those adjustments.
Yeah, hopefully the officials are just being more strict about it during the fall, just so they can like
Yeah.
learn how to call it, and then when spring comes around, it won't be as bad. That's what, at least I'm crossing my fingers for that as a fan.
Yeah, I agree. I think that'll definitely play out that way. I hope.
Now, you play in the Patriot League, which I think is one of the more underrated leagues in lacrosse. So, what's it like being a part of that conference, or just the competition that you guys face each game?
Yeah, definitely. I think being in the Patriot League, any opponent is any opponent can win, and there's upsets that happen all the time. And although there are schools like Army and Loyola that do dominate our league, I think there's room for other teams to win out and just have those upsets. And I think just every team is a threat in the Patriot League, and some years some teams are better than others. So I think it's just every year you have to go into each game thinking, okay, like this is going to be a tough game. You can't underestimate any opponent that you play in our league.
Now, you've had to face a lot of challenges during your time in college. One was sort of the freshman year, where it was sort of not really a normal freshman year because of some of the COVID restrictions that were going on. And then, like you mentioned, you tore your ACL your sophomore year. So, how did you handle those challenges in your career? And then, when you look back on it now, what do you think is your biggest improvement you've made to your game since you started colleges after sort of dealing with those challenges that I mentioned?
Yeah. Starting off with COVID freshman year, I think just leaning on our teammates was the biggest way to get through that time. And as a freshman class, I think we got really close to each other because we could only hang out with each other. So, so we became like really close, really bonded in that way. And then sophomore year, I think tearing my ACL, just staying positive and looking to the future and knowing that I will recover and it will get better if I put in the work, and leaning on my teammates in that regard as well definitely helped me. And there were some other teammates going through similar injuries at the time. So just doing rehab with them and really just bonding with them helped me through those times. And yep.
Now, what would you say was like sort of the biggest improvement, I guess, you made to your game in college since I guess when you look back to your freshman year to now?
Yeah, I think the biggest improvement I've made was being able to take smart risks on the field. Like as a defender, I'm looking for those interceptions, back checks, anything like that. I think I was a little bit more cautious my freshman year, but I think now that I've had more game experience and I'm a senior now, I think just knowing what risks I am able to take defensively, also offensively, like whether I'm like, I'm gonna beat my defender, I'm gonna take this to goal, or I'm just having more confidence than I did have as a freshman, are I think two ways that I've definitely improved my game.
Now, you in your team your sophomore year went 2-15, but then this past season you guys bounced back and improved, going 9-9 during your junior year. So my question is, what led your team's improvement from your sophomore year to your junior year, and what did you just take away from your team's performance overall this past season?
Yeah, I think for our group last year, we just really didn't want to have another season where we felt the way we did after the 2-15 season. So I think having that season really fueled our fire for our season last year. I think we went into any in every game saying, okay, we're gonna play our hardest, we're gonna do everything in our power to win. So we don't have that same feeling that we did the year prior. And everyone was bought into this mentality, bought into the extra work, really taking the time outside of practice and class to really focus on fundamentals, getting together with a group, like stick work, shooting, everything like that. Just putting in a lot of that extra work really helped us to improve into the next year. And I think just having that mentality, like we are going to bounce back and we're the underdogs, and that was our mentality. I think just everyone buying into that culture really helped us improve last year.
And the biggest moment from your season last year was when you guys upset number 20th Navy. Just talk about that upset and sort of what it meant to you guys in the program as a whole.
Yeah, that was definitely a special moment in my lacrosse career. Definitely my favorite moment, and it was really special to our program because we had never beat Navy before, or we've never beaten anyone ranked that high before. And it was such a special moment because it was the best lacrosse that our team had ever played. It was still messy. We didn't have a perfect game, but I think our ability to hold a lead and maintain a lead the whole entire game is what set us apart from games in the past. And we were able to stay poised, under control, and really just hold that lead and not get frantic and not play to the score and not get rattled by the other team and the refs. I think just hold our composure was something that differentiated that game and helped us achieve success. And yeah, it definitely solidified that we were not having a season like the year before, and just all our hard work paid off, and it was just really special for our whole team.
So we're now in a segment I like to call six questions that have nothing to do with lacrosse. And the goal of the segment is to hopefully get to know you a little bit more off the field. So
Mhm.
my first one is if there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
Hmm. I would say my favorite female actress is definitely Jennifer Aniston. So her in her 20s, I think I would want her to play me.
I can see that for sure, for sure. Friends is a good TV show, so I like
Yeah.
watching that.
My favorite TV show.
Yeah. R.I.P. Matt Perry. That was definitely tough to see
Oh my
a few
gosh.
months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's your favorite character on that show? Because I feel like Joey's the funniest on that show personally.
I agree. I agree. I do like Chandler. I think he's very underrated sometimes. Like without him, whole show would fall apart. But
Hmm.
yeah, I'll probably say Chandler, but Jennifer Aniston as well.
Now, what is the most underrated holiday and what's the most overrated holiday?
I think the most underrated holiday is St. Patrick's Day because in Boston there's the big St. Patrick's Day parade that we all go to, and that's really fun. And I always forget how fun that is. And I think overrated is probably Halloween.
Hmm. I agree with you because like once trick or treating's over, like it's not as fun as it used to be, and I just
Yeah,
feel like there's something missing personally. So I'm with you on that. I'd say for underrated for me is probably like Thanksgiving, just
yeah,
because like it's overshadowed by Christmas and Halloween, but like it's still itself is a fun holiday, and there's not a lot of pressure with it. So that's usually that's probably what I would go with.
yeah. And the food,
Oh
amazing.
yeah, the food's good and football too, which is always
Mhm.
fun. So. Now, what
Yeah.
is the most annoying song that you think everyone seems to like? This could be a Christmas song, or it could be just somewhat another one in general.
I would say probably Vampire by Olivia Rodrigo. I know everyone likes that song, and I do like it, but I think it gets overplayed a lot. So now I'm like,
Yeah,
so I would say just some of those kinds of songs.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I don't know. I have to think about that a little harder for me. There's probably like a few
Yeah.
songs that I feel like, oh, it's probably like every sports game I feel like I go to, the song I Can Make Your Hands Clap. I don't know if you know that one.
Yeah.
I feel like it gets always played and it just kind of bothers me sometimes, but I do
Yeah.
think it's catchy, but I think they need to switch it up at it's like if go to every sport any sporting event ever, they will play that song at some point.
That is so true.
They probably play at your games too, so
They definitely have. Yeah. No, that's a good one.
Now, getting back to more non-lacrosse questions, what's the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Um, this week was my finals week, but a few weeks ago, the whole Stanley Cup in the fire was the most interesting thing that I've seen. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
Oh, so this lady posted a TikTok of her car getting blown up, but the only thing that survived the fire was her Stanley Cup. And then the people at Stanley saw this and they paid for her new car.
Oh, wow.
That was like a huge like marketing campaign for them, and that's my major. So I was like, oh my gosh, and like my marketing professor was like talking about that all the time. So that was definitely the most interesting thing that I've
It's
seen.
so Stanley Cup's like a water bottle because I thought it obviously when I think of that, I think of the trophy the NHL players win at
Yeah,
during the
yeah,
summer. So,
yeah. The water bottle company, they bought the lady a new car, which is
oh,
super cool.
cool. That's awesome. I don't know what's the most interesting thing I've seen this week. I've been trying to stay off the news because it's been very depressing.
Yeah,
I don't know, probably just like Shohei Ohtani getting paid $700 million. I think that's pretty insane. And now they spent
yeah,
325 on that other Japanese pitcher as well. So they spent like almost $1 billion in one off season. And I just think it's just crazy how different the financial system in baseball is compared to the other three major sports leagues here in the US. And
yeah,
personally, I think there should be a salary floor so teams are forced to spend a certain amount of money to at least try to make their team somewhat competitive. But I just
yeah,
thought that was interesting how that all went down.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Now, Kendall, you have the best off the field style on the BU women's lacrosse team, but besides yourself, who would you say has the best off the field style on your team?
I would probably say another senior, Cassie Reinertsen. She always has the best fits to our pregame meals consistently.
Now, last non-lacrosse question is, what is one place you would love to travel to soon, or a place that you've been to before that you really like and want to go back to?
A place that I've always wanted to go was definitely skiing outside of the US, like somewhere like Switzerland, just like skiing somewhere like in a cool setting, because that's something that I like to do in high school. So just getting back to that would be cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'd say probably go to California. I've always wanted to go there, so that would be fun. A little bit different, not a lot of like skiing, more of just like enjoying the warm weather.
Yeah.
But getting back to some lacrosse questions now. First one is what should be done to help grow women's lacrosse, from your perspective?
Yeah, I think that just continuing to allow the sport to have access to everyone is something that can definitely grow the game. And our team works with Harlem Lacrosse, which is a nonprofit organization that they provide sticks, goggles, mouth guards um, to younger kids, and there's free clinics for them. We partner with them in Boston a lot, and we work their clinics. So I think just allowing access to the equipment and camps for younger kids can definitely help grow the game and just get people more knowledgeable about the sport. And I think it's gotten a lot more traction in the last couple of years. And with lacrosse being able to be in the Olympics is huge. So I think just getting people educated and just sharing the beauty of the sport will definitely help to grow the game.
Now, before we end this interview, Kendall, do you have any shout outs you want to give, and who should we have on the podcast next?
I would like to give a shout out to just my whole BU women's lacrosse team. Shout out to them and shout out to my head coach, Lauren Morton, assistant coaches, Shay Clevenger and Brenda Griffin, and my roommate and teammate, Liv Kingsborough, I would say, for you to have next on the podcast.
Awesome. We'll definitely want to reach out at some point and see what she has to say. But Kendall, I
Mm.
just want to say thank you so much for coming on the pod. I really appreciate your time. I think you're a great player and even better person, and I just want to let you know that. And wishing you nothing but the best for the upcoming season. And I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joss. Thank you so much for having me.